Canada Day.
This is Canada Day in Hong Kong. Every year, some 12,000 people gather to wave the maple leaf in the bars and streets of Lang Kwai Fong, the city's lively nightclub district. Many of these revelers are Canadian, but local Hong Kong people also flock to the party, often because they've worked or studied in Canada and developed a taste for all things Canadian, including Canadian beer. And sprinkled throughout the crowds are a few wide-eyed Canadian tourists.
Everything about Hong Kong is just like a smack in the face different. Yeah, exciting. Very exciting.
The Canada Day party is a reminder that Hong Kong has always been a magnet for Canadian tourists. And they have proven that the poet laureate of the British Empire was dead wrong. A century ago, Rudyard Kipling said that east is east and west is west, and never the twain shall meet. Well, the empire is gone now, and in the 21st century, east and west are meeting and mingling just fine. Canadians come here for a variety of reasons. English is widely spoken, and there are touches of the familiar. This building, for example, is a remnant of Hong Kong's colonial past. But make no mistake, Hong Kong lies squarely in China. At one time, the only way for ordinary Canadians to get a taste of China was to come here to Hong Kong. No longer. Times have changed, and Hong Kong is now part of China, and China is opening its own doors to tourists. China has more than 200,000 visits by Canadians annually, and that number keeps increasing. And Hong Kong is worried that it might be bypassed. That's forcing Hong Kong to reinvent itself. It's now focusing on becoming a prime one-stop destination, not only for foreigners, but also for mainland Chinese. But this transformation of its tourist industry suffered a major setback in 2003 when the SARS epidemic hit.
SARS was something that was devastating for Hong Kong because it meant that people could not travel in and out, people avoided travel, people just didn't want to move out of Hong Kong or into Hong Kong, and we lost our business. Like 90% of our business were wiped out, in that period. Thank God, it didn't take us too long to recover, and our full recovery actually happened within 6 months after SARS was controlled and SARS was no longer affecting Hong Kong. So we had a beautiful year 2004, and 2005 we're still riding on the crest of the wave.
That wave is bringing a new surge of tourists and fueling an industry-wide boom. Canada's luxury Four Seasons chain has built a new showcase property, adding to Hong Kong's already glittering constellation of five-star hotels. And a brand new Disneyland has opened its doors, adding its brand to an already wide array of attractions here. So far, visitors seem to have approved, and while the reviews have been mixed, most are positive.
Hong Kong's a very friendly place, so, running into different people, having different conversations, and, you learn so much through other people.
Hong Kong's really exciting. I mean, it's very modern. What's good about it, you got a lot of creature comforts, and the level of service in Hong Kong traditionally has been outstanding.
The influx began in the wake of the SARS crisis when China's government eased its restrictions on mainlanders who are allowed to visit in order to boost Hong Kong's sagging fortunes. One of the biggest attractions for them is knowing that in Hong Kong that Louis Vuitton purse they want is, well, really a Louis Vuitton purse and not a cheap counterfeit that they would likely see back home.
Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Beijing, all of them were amazing to me. Hong Kong, I think I really enjoyed. It was a bit of an introduction because you had a sense that there was a lot that was new, but there was still a lot that was familiar.
The Hong Kong Connection, Canada and the New China, is supported by the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office and the Hong Kong Tourism Board.
Hi, I'm Pei Chen, and this is the beautiful Lantau Island. Lantau is actually the largest of Hong Kong's 260 outlying islands. At 144 square kilometers, it is almost twice the size of Hong Kong Island. The world's largest outdoor seated bronze Buddha statue sits on Lantau, overlooking Po Lin Monastery. The bronze-seated Buddha was cast in China and took 10 years to complete. Near the giant Buddha is the Wisdom Path. It's an outdoor replica of the centuries-old Heart Sutra, one of the world's best-known Buddhist prayers. Each beam has a portion of the prayer written on it in traditional Chinese characters. On Lantau's northern coast is Dengcheng, which boasts the only stone-made Tin Hau temple. To get a true bird's-eye view of the greenery on Lantau Island, a cable car system is being constructed that will take visitors on a scenic ride from the town of Dengcheng to Po Lin Monastery. Not too far away is Silver Mine Waterfall, where the really adventurous can rappel down the waterfall. Lantau is the perfect island retreat.
Think of a city that is progressive, free, stable, where opportunity abounds and quality is premium. A community that is innovative, cosmopolitan, enterprising, and well-connected. This is Hong Kong, Asia's World City.
Hong Kong, with British legacy of order, an efficient professional civil service, and its roster of great restaurants and hotels, has long made it a favored destination for tourists. And getting around is easy thanks to a public transit system that puts most Canadian cities to shame. And of course, there's the shopping. Hong Kong remains a free port. Its stores and markets offer goods not just from China, but from around the globe. And there are no duties, sales taxes, there's no GST. Fierce competition keeps prices down. And if you're prepared to haggle back and forth, bargains are pretty well guaranteed. And for Canadian visitors, the welcome might even be just a little friendlier.
Thank you.
Canadians are very much welcome in Hong Kong because of the close ties. And Hong Kong people appreciate Canadians because of their understanding. And Hong Kong people choose Canada as one of their favorite holiday destinations.
And for Canadian tourists heading onward into China, Hong Kong serves as an exotic yet somehow familiar place to get a taste of Chinese culture before venturing into the vast mainland.
Hong Kong and China are great places to go, but I think that from a tourist perspective, if you're elderly maybe, and can't get around as easily, or maybe you're younger but you're a bit more timid, then Hong Kong would be a better choice. There's a lot of the familiar in Hong Kong, but there's still enough that's different, that it's a wonderful spot. But once you enter China, it's different, different, different.
For one thing, there's the geography. China is huge, only slightly smaller than Canada. And of course, it has over 1 billion people who speak a variety of dialects and belong to a wide range of ethnic groups. It can be a daunting place for foreigners to navigate. But each year, over 100,000 Canadians find their way here and are rewarded for their efforts.
You're dealing with a culture which is 4,000 years old, and being, somebody who was born and raised in Canada, that's something I just can't comprehend. And I think the more I go there, the more I appreciate the cultural part of it, notwithstanding all the great shopping and restaurants and the beautiful hotels they have there. But it's a very unique place to go.
Mark Rosewell is a Canadian and a superstar in China. The Chinese know him as Dashan, a television performer, host, and actor who speaks fluent Mandarin. And he has some advice for Canadian visitors.
I hesitate to say anything about China because it's so big and so complex. Basically, anything you say about it is true. I mean, it's a huge, well-developed, rich nation in some places, and other places it's backward, very poor nation. It's a nation of very tremendous contrast. But it's certainly not what most people expect. I think most people come still with a view of sort of a Stalinist, communist country and living under oppression, that whole stereotype. And I think those people are really shocked at what they see. I remember when I was studying Chinese at university, and a professor told me, one of the things we never do when teaching Chinese history is predict the future because we're always wrong.
Most tourists head for Shanghai and Beijing. In part, that's because they aren't allowed to roam the countryside unescorted. The government still restricts the movement of foreigners. In its two most famous cities, though, they're more than welcome. Shanghai offers a stunning mix of the modern and the old. It remains China's most cosmopolitan city, its historic face to the world. The new hotels rival anything found in the West, and visitors will find a full range of tours and services available. Although they might also find the pace and the energy of the city exhausting. Beijing, on the other hand, stands as Shanghai's counterpoint. It is the center of Chinese civilization, the country's capital, and while it too is big, it somehow seems more serene. Perhaps because its citizens take a long view, since they're surrounded by so much history. There's Tiananmen Square, the Forbidden City, and of course, for most visitors, the highlight is that first glimpse of the nearby Great Wall of China.
You can't describe it. It's just the feeling that you get when you see it. You just can't believe that this is, and that it goes on, and that you're actually there. It's amazing.
Jeff G. had much the same reaction when on Niagara Falls.
It's fabulous. It's really, you feel the power of nature.
Jeff is from Beijing, and he's in the vanguard of what Canadian officials hope will be a coming wave of visitors to Canada from China. Right now, the sight of visitors from mainland China is a relatively rare sight in downtown Vancouver. But that's about to change, slowly at first, as the Chinese government starts to lift travel restrictions on its citizens. Travel is still relatively expensive for the average Chinese. But the question is, as more and more Chinese start to travel, will they choose Canada? Derek Galpin certainly hopes so. He's Canada's salesman in Beijing. His job is to promote Canada as a destination for Chinese tourists.
I think Canada has something, to offer that the Chinese people really like. There's an enormous amount of interest in Canada here from people. That the awareness of the detail of Canada is probably lacking, but certainly they're aware that it's a very friendly country. They're aware it's a very clean country. They're aware of some of the main tourism icons. There's been a significant movement of Chinese people to Canada over the last 10, 12, 15 years, and that is continuing. So word of mouth is coming back from those people in Canada, and people are going from China to visit their friends and relatives. They want to see this country that everybody talks about.
It's really a large country, you know.
Jeff G is in Canada on business and enjoying a side trip to Niagara Falls.
Before I came here, you know, I watched a lot of, you know, TV programs and some pictures, but still, it impressed me most, you know, when I really came to this place. And also, I think the people here are very friendly.
We do very well on the friendliness. They see us as being very friendly. One area where I think as a province we can improve would be in providing the types of service that they would like to see. For example, the types of food that they might be accustomed to. Not a real problem in Toronto, but when you travel to other areas, it's a little more difficult.
The provincial and federal tourism authorities are keen to entice as many of these new Chinese tourists to Canada as they can. They organize trade delegations, host bilateral talks, and work with the Canadian travel industry to lure as many Chinese and their newly fattened wallets as possible.
The World Tourism Organization predicts that by the year 2020 that 100 million Chinese will be traveling globally. Now, if we can just capture a small percentage of that, just think of how many travelers that would be coming to Canada.
No one can be sure just how many Chinese tourists Canada can expect to welcome in the years ahead. Right now, the figure is about 125,000 visitors annually. Most of them are here on business. But the Chinese government estimates that soon Canada can expect to host 700,000 Chinese visitors every year.
Well, we've already prepared for a number of years. Actually, in the late 80s, early 90s, we've been receiving a lot of Chinese visitors to Canada. At that moment, even up to now, they're primarily from the government sectors and corporations. So we're very prepared and very experienced in that area.
And where in Canada will all those visitors want to go?
I think they'll probably focus on the key provinces to start with, the main tourism icons, which is BC, Alberta, Ontario and Quebec. But interestingly enough, we have had tour operators come into this office who are very interested in doing something a little different. They're interested in, say, Atlantic Canada, into Nova Scotia, PEI, and also the Yukon. So I think there will be, the majority will go, obviously, to those main tourism destinations of the Niagara Falls, the Vancouver Island, the Rockies. But also there will be certainly a significant number that are interested in doing something a little different.
For Jeff G and his colleagues, Niagara Falls was at the top of their list of Canadian attractions. They weren't disappointed, and Jeff picked up a small souvenir, a coffee cup with a picture of the falls. When he looked at the bottom of it, though, he got a mild surprise. There was a small sticker that's familiar to all Canadians.
Wow, that's really also something really impressive. I can see, so many Chinese schools, not just in Canada, but also in New York. When I look at some small souvenirs, I turn back, okay, it's made in China everywhere. So many Chinese goods, yeah.
As more Chinese come to visit Canada and more Canadians head the other way, will Hong Kong be left on the sidelines?
Well, what can you say? I think Hong Kong has a lot of great things about it.
Tourism is one of the pillars of the Hong Kong economy. In 2004, visitors left behind $15 billion. And to keep the tourists and their money flowing in, Hong Kong is aggressively promoting itself and its attractions under the slogan, Hong Kong, Asia's World City.
If you come to Hong Kong, you now definitely have to book your hotels well in advance. And if you're going for lunch, book your restaurants or you'll be stuck with Starbucks because things are full up again like they were in 97.
好開心啊！因為今日香港迪士尼開幕，咁終於香港係自己迪士尼啦。
And now there is a new attraction pulling in the crowds. Hong Kong Disneyland opened recently in a blaze of publicity amid high hopes that it will draw people from not just China, but from across Asia as well. It became Hong Kong's second theme park. The first is the well-established Ocean Park, which offers acres of rides. Over the years, Ocean Park had become a little tired, so they've gone on a major refurbishment, including everything you'd expect in an amusement park, and at least two things you might not: the giant pandas An and Jia Jia. Other new attractions include the Avenue of the Stars along the Kowloon waterfront. It's Hong Kong's answer to Hollywood's Walk of Fame. It's also a good spot to watch the nightly Symphony of Lights. It's a multimedia sound and light show where the stars are the skyscrapers that rim the harbor. Another initiative is to promote a side of Hong Kong that many may find surprising: its large and sweeping countryside areas. Hong Kong, of course, can't possibly be everything to everyone. While one campaign positions Hong Kong as a world-class one-stop destination, there is another campaign promoting Hong Kong as a gateway into the mainland. The idea is to help visitors through the door and into a country that offers what they hope will be a unique experience for Western tourists.
Today, Hong Kong really is our gateway into the entire southeastern Pacific Rim. And that includes China, but also includes places like Singapore and various other countries in that part of the world.
China offers a great experience that you'll find nowhere else in the world. It's so much different than the experiences that you'll get in Canada or the United States or Europe or the Caribbean, and it's just a great place to visit. And once you're there, once or twice, you want to keep on going back.
Of course, Chinese visitors to Canada will also experience a little culture shock. Or maybe that should be sticker shock. As Jeff G and his colleagues window shop in Toronto's Chinatown, they aren't tempted to buy much. The prices are just too high for them, and besides, much of what they see was made back home anyway. Still, Jeff is confident that one day Canadian prices won't seem so high as China becomes more prosperous. And he hopes that growing prosperity will help bring us closer together.
I think as China, the economy of China develops more and more, there will be more people coming to Canada. And also, more people from Canada can come to China, to visit China, to know more about China. I think right now, it seems that Chinese people know more about North America, Canada, and USA. But I don't think there are so many, North American people who know a lot about China. I think maybe if the people from both sides can meet together and get to know each other, communicate each other, encourage the mutual understanding, I think. Yeah, that will be something really good.
Tourism, of course, is like no other business because it's about people. People who want to see, learn, and share experiences far from home. And for the people of Hong Kong, China, and Canada, it seems that home is no longer that far away.